Hello, everybody. Good evening to you, councillors, guests and residents in the chamber, those at home. I'm Councillor Jeff Brooks, the leader of West Berkshire Council, and welcome to today's executive meeting. Shall we make sure we've switched our mobile phones to silent, turn the sound off on our tablets or laptops? Meeting being live streamed by YouTube, so members of the public are able to follow proceedings. Before I start officially this evening's meeting, I'd like to take the opportunity to remind members that we're subject to the Council's Code of Conduct, which requires us to uphold certain standards, including, importantly, respect. Members across the chamber may not always agree with one another. You notice that we're across the chamber again now, so that is actually factually correct. May not always agree with one another, but I'd ask that in our disagreements we endeavour to always be respectful of others' views. Also, I'd like to ask that members of the public attend the meeting do not interrupt or speak outside of your designated speaking slots. And please refrain from approaching councillors unless they invite you to do so. We have apologies, Nikki.
Councillors Ian Cottingham, Joe Stewart, Dominic Bowick and Anne-Marie Dodds.
Grateful to you, Sadie. And your Nikki Thomas impression is very good indeed. Sorry. Item 2, I've got portfolio holder announcements, and there isn't any tonight, but we've added this in, and there will be a rota, where portfolio holder will be invited to bring us up to date with what their portfolio has, their responsibility has been undertaking, experiencing in the previous 12 months. And we do that on a rolling basis so that they can keep people informed.
Great, thank you, Leah. Quick question on that. Will they be taking questions from opposition members after those statements?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be decided. It sounds very reasonable. But if the 20 questions suddenly is another 30 minutes, so there's a sense of how do we manage that? You might like to give me some ideas. Okay, so that's the portfolio holder announcements. The minutes, pages 9 to 16. We've read through with interest, and I'm looking for somebody to propose those. Thank you, Councillor Codling. A seconder, please, Councillor Pemberton. Thank you. All those in favour of the minutes being approved and agreed? Thank you very much. All good so far. Declarations of interest, leader to ask the clerk, have we had any declaration of interest?
No declarations of interest.
We haven't. Nothing on the agenda that would give us reason to declare an interest, in my view, not. So, item 5, quickly into, have I missed any items? Where's petitions? Petitions are after item 5, are they? Yeah. So, public questions. And I'd like to thank the members of the public that have submitted questions for this evening's meeting. Welcome those in attendance. And obviously, you probably know there is the ability to ask a supplementary question after the initial question is answered. The question will appear on the screen, will be answered by the relevant portfolio holder. You will then be given the opportunity to ask a supplementary question. But please remember that must be to clarify the response and not to introduce any new business. The time limit for public questions is restricted to 30 minutes. And to my right, Nikki Thomas will give me some prompts on that. And if your question has not been answered in that time, you'll receive a written response within 5 clear working days of the meeting. The response is given either verbally at the meeting or in writing will be published on the council website in due course. Some questions have been withdrawn, and I'll mention those, or the person asking them is not in attendance. So we'll work through that as well, and I'll make you aware of what's been withdrawn, for instance. But first one up, Mr. Goatley. And your question is to the portfolio holder for Environment and Highways, Councillor Stuart Gawley. Thank you, Councillor Gawley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Goatley, for the question. Any repairs needed to the rain gardens will be funded from the council's highway maintenance budget. We are aware of issues with the HGVs damaging the curbs and are discussing this with the original designers and with our contractor. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes. I think you've admitted that it's a completely flawed design and therefore it's the designers that are at fault. Surely there should be a claim on their professional indemnity because this is going to be a lot of money.
I don't think I've admitted there's an issue with the original design, but we will be looking at how we can.
Well, it's falling to bits.
I don't think I've admitted there's an issue with the initial design. I absolutely agree. There's some issues that we need to resolve, and absolutely, if it's down to the original design, then we will look to reclaim that cash back. Don't you worry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question B has been withdrawn. Question C is from Mr. Young, Ian Young. Is Mr. Young attending remotely?
He is, Chairman.
We know he's online. So I'm asking the portfolio holder, the Planning and Housing, Councillor Gaines, to respond to.
The Council does recognise these figures. The data mentioned in the article reflects information that we submitted to the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, MHCLG, as part of the statutory case level data that we are required to submit on a quarterly basis. This increase in homelessness is not unique to West Berkshire. Across the country, most councils are seeing an increase in the number of individuals and families in need of a roof over their head. We're investigating every possible means to identify and increase the level of social housing in our district so that we are able to provide homes for those residents who find themselves in this most desperate position. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, please. Because as far as I understand it, the social housing is not managed by West Berks themselves. It's all out to Sovereign. But going further, as far as I understand it, South Oxfordshire and Vale of White Horse councils buy the stock themselves, and there's a proposed merger between all of these councils. So how would that differing approach to social housing work itself out were that merger to go ahead?
Obviously, that merger is not definitely going to go ahead at the moment anyway. They do have, South Oxfordshire does have its own housing company. It's not quite the same as a social housing provider. Sovereign aren't the only one provider of social housing in West Berkshire. We have a number of social housing providers. So we do look at all of the providers, and they are required by planning law to provide affordable homes on new sites. So it's difficult to say at this point how that's going to affect going forward in a reorganisation.
You were going to give us some up-to-date numbers as well.
I can certainly say that this particular month we've down to 92 homeless families presenting in February.
So it's quite lumpy. It's quite up and down.
It's very flexible. It does deviate greatly from one month to the next. And of course, it does depend on the time of year, and it does depend on the housing stock we've got available. And we've had a couple of housing developments come online recently, which means we are able to offer those people homes, which is great.
Thank you. Have we got Isabel Smith?
Yes,
We have, so we can take that question D again to Councillor Gaines, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Smith, for your question. We're aware of that property you mentioned is currently empty. It's not habitable at the moment. The property needs a significant internal refurbishment to bring it back into use. This requires capital funding, which has been secured in order to undertake this work, before it would be able to be released for rental. I'm anxious to get this work carried out as soon as possible, as you can imagine. However, the building is of non-traditional post-war construction, which means it has been necessary to commission an engineering report before any work was able to commence. As soon as necessary work is completed, the property will be relet to make a home for a family in housing need. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, sorry, I unmuted myself. I didn't know if I have.
You have.
Yeah, oh, lovely, sorry. Yeah, I was just the property is 2-bedroom and it's in the retirement. It was the section 106 kind of retirement area bungalows. So will that then go to a family? Is it being let out to a family, or will it never go back on the home choice list to be bid on for people over 50, which is the original property? That was the criteria of the original property.
I wasn't aware it had a covenant on there for a specific sort of over 50s. I could look into that and get back to you. If it is for over 50s, then we will try and keep to that, but otherwise it will go back to a family. If you leave your email address, I will get back to you on that one.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. The next one is E. Is Mr. Morgan online?
He is, Chairman.
Okay, now I'm going to take these. Councillor Cottingham is on holiday. So the supplementary, I'll do my best on. But for the actual question, I'm happy to answer Mr. Morgan that these loans have been used to support the council's cash flow requirements and wider treasury management activities. So, for instance, refinancing maturing debt where internal borrowing was no longer sufficient, managing timing differences between income receipts, grants, council tax, business rates, occasionally asset capital receipts, and expenditure commitments, ensuring liquidity to meet day-to-day operational and capital financing needs, and aligning borrowing levels with the council's liability benchmark, ensuring borrowing is taken at optimal times and maturities to manage risk and cost. So that's our approach. Do you have a supplementary?
Yeah, thanks for that response. The first point is my request is for full details. Some of those things you outlined there, Councillor Brooks, I understand that, but how much of it is for refinancing? How much is it capital? Is the question I asked, which you haven't responded to. So if you could provide that, maybe written, that'd be great. But my supplementary is this. You may recall back in December, I predicted that the borrowing for this financial year would exceed £70 million, when it clearly will do. So my supplementary question is, we've still got March to go, and typically you tend to borrow between 10 and 20 million pound in March. So what is how much do you anticipate borrowing from the PWB in March? That's my supplementary question.
I'm looking to Shannon Coleman-Slaughter, who's not given me reason not to look to her. If you would like to add anything, because I'm not going to take that myself, but we could do a written answer. It's entirely up to you.
We are reviewing our cash flow at the moment and our final tranches of borrowing for this financial year, because we have debts that will mature and we will have to refinance, so I can put together a written answer.
Thank you. That'd be very helpful. Thank you. If you can respond to both points, that'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And for the purposes of Mr. Morgan's other point, do we publish anywhere the loans we take and where from and all the sort of information he's been asking for? I've seen the request from Mr. Morgan. Is this something like where we have to publish some register of borrowing? Is it something he could see without needing to ask questions? Not that I dislike hearing from Mr. Morgan, but can you tell us?
Yes, we can pull down reports from the PWRB as to what we've borrowed, and we can also pull together some appendices which will go on the outturn reports. There'll be a Treasury outturn report where this will be detailed, and we can start appending it to the midterm Treasury report, so he'll be able to access all the information.
So we are going to make that information available, Mr. Morgan, but in different ways and not necessarily just for you. It's got to be a bit of a public good that they're out there for everybody to see. So that's, I think, addressed your points. Our next one up is Mr. Holden Crowther. Good evening. You'd like to come to the lectern, sir? And so that you can use the microphone for a supplementary. But it will be Stuart Gawley will pick up question F.
Yes, thank you for your question. It's normal practice for the final detailed traffic modelling and assessments to be carried out by the developer and submitted as part of the planning application. However, for a site as important as the North East Fatcham site, much early work is carried out to assess the ability of the site to be delivered from a transport impact and infrastructure perspective. The initial transport assessment work for North East Fatcham development site was carried out prior to the site being allocated in the local plan. Considering the impact of proposed strategic developments was a key part of the local plan review, and the outcome of this assessment was included in the examination of what is now the adopted local plan. Additional scenarios around possible schemes and measures to support this key site were also tested and developed at this time, and these will inform the master planning work going forward. Do you have a supplementary?
Thank you, Mr. Holden-Crowther. The next one is from Mr. Pearce. This is G.
Chairman, can I roll my 2 over, please, if I may, because Mr. Cottenham's not here.
Yeah, of course you
Go
can.
on, David.
Yeah, I know I'm not worthy.
No, it's not that.
Absolutely.
My supplementaries were about what he said at the meeting.
No, not a
Thank
problem,
you.
sir. So that is G and you said
M.
G and M.
M.
M. G and M will be rolled forward to the next meeting and Councillor Cottingham will pick them up. Yeah, but I know my value. Okay, then the next one, H, will be a written answer because I think Ms. May is not available to ask. Then we have Mr. Goatley on I to Councillor Pemberton.
Right, thank you very much indeed for your question, Mr. Goatley. Your question is an interesting one because in terms of defining success, if I may say, there is an element of subjectivity here. So are you referring to the amount of outdoor seating occupied? Are you referring to social utility? Are you talking about the number of hours which residents visit our bars and restaurants in the pedestrianised area of Newbury that you're referring to? Or are you talking of the amount of square footage of commercial space that those businesses occupied? Are you talking about spend? On that last point, Mr. Goatley, sorry, what was that, Councillor McKinnon?
No, okay, okay. We know that. It played out yesterday in the House of Parliament, actually.
If you let me answer the question, Councillor McKinnon,
I'll tip back to Councillor Pemberton, please.
Yeah. On the last point there about spend, Mr. Goatley, what I would say is that food and drink is our largest retail sector within Newbury. So it accounts for approximately 27% of all recorded spend. And despite a lot of the challenges and the feedback that we've had during the pedestrianisation consultation, we have seen a slight increase on year sales throughout the summer of 2025 after those extended hours took effect compared to 2024. And the data also suggests, the data that we commissioned through the Newbury bid via the Beauclerc report, that there was also a significant increase in visitors from outside Newbury and Thatcham as well. So 36% of that spend was from visitors specifically outside of our local areas coming into the town and spending more money on retail. And we absolutely are seeing progress in terms of the number of businesses coming to Newbury Town Centre and offering that outdoor seating. Even in the last few weeks, we've seen more businesses offering that facility to customers, which hopefully they will be able to take advantage of as we see some nicer spring weather going forward. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, please. We haven't seen the results of the survey you carried out for 6 months. I do wonder whether there's a good reason for that. But my question is, we're talking about the extension of the pedestrianisation, which most of the time has been totally ineffective. Nobody's going to be sitting out in the rain. We've had one of the worst winters, I admit, but that was also following one of the best summers, which could have accounted for a lot of the figures. So is it going to continue? Are we going to see the results of the survey?
So first and foremost, I would reject any suggestion respectfully, Mr. Goatley, that the trial has been totally ineffective. As I've just said a moment ago, we have seen more businesses come into the town offering that outdoor seating space, and we have seen an uptick in retail sales around food and drink, even after those extended hours took effect. There is always going to be a bedding in effect when change happens, and businesses will inevitably take a certain period of time to adjust to those changes. I think what our businesses want, Mr. Goatley, is the certainty of knowing what comes next. And I think you're right to make that point. The trial was for an initial 6-month period, and that 6 months ended in November of last year. The fact that we haven't made a decision yet, and we've got 18 months in which to do that, but the fact that we haven't made a decision, I think, shows just how seriously and how thoughtfully this administration is deciding what to do next, and not just continuing with what some commentators feel that we want to do. That's not how we do business. So there's still a lot of work to do and thinking to do around what this looks like if and when it becomes permanent. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got the next one, K, from Mr. Morgan. How are we doing time-wise? How's that? Mr. Morgan, your question is on screen. The borrowing for 26-27 is anticipated to be between 60 to 70 million pounds. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. You probably won't like this, Councillor Brooks, but you know, I predicted this financial year it'd be over 70 million pound. I predict, I'm not Nostradamus, but I predict it's going to be way over 120 million pound. I'd be interested to know how you've come up with that calculation at such a low figure, especially when you have to repay lots of loans back already. So, can I have a breakdown of why you think you only need to borrow that amount of money, please? Thank you.
Again, I will look to our Section 1.1 officer, if you don't mind, Mr. Morgan, or you.
I don't mind at all. I think that's where the information needs to come from. I appreciate that. Thank you. But it's going to be way more than the figure you've
Mr.
predicted.
Morgan, thank you. But could you perhaps not talk while Mrs. Coleman-Slaughter answers your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That will be our net estimated borrowing, but I will provide a breakdown in the response to the earlier question as well.
The next one up is L, and that's Mr. Holden Crowther again to Denise Gaines.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Ben Holden Crowther. The public engagement exercise for the North East Thatcham Master Plan will be carried out as a collaborative exercise with the developers and the council, supported by specialist consultants who have relevant experience in this type of community engagement work. This is the accepted standard process for larger developments. Independent consultants are frequently employed in master planning to provide specialist expertise, strategic advice, and impartial assessments that guide the development of large-scale sites such as this and infrastructure planning. The involvement of consultants will be funded by the developer. However, they will be instructed by this council. These instructions are in the process of being finalised. These consultants cannot be formally instructed until the Planning Performance Agreement, the PPA, is agreed and signed by all parties. This is currently in progress. We are totally committed to ensuring that a positive and meaningful public engagement process will be carried out. This will involve Town Council and all parish councils, as well as all residents concerned. We'll be in touch with all of those interested stakeholders with updates on these plans within the coming weeks. Do you have a supplementary?
Can the portfolio holder confirm it'll only be the council involved in the hiring process for the consultants, and there won't be any sort of shortlisting done by the developers or the ability for them to veto the appointment on the consultants?
I believe it is just us, but I'm going to defer to the executive director for place to just answer that question. My understanding is actually that it's just us that actually.
Okay, we'll see what Mrs. Lawrence now.
I'm sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, no, just in terms of the hiring of the consultants, is that going to be exclusively done by the council, or is there going to be some sort of input there by the developers?
Okay, so the developers and the developers will be paying for the consultants, so it will be it will be commissioned by them. However, through you, Chair, of course. However, the council will need to make sure that those consultants have got the right skills, expertise, objectivity, and everything else to be able to do this piece of work. So we will have input into that, and we'll need to agree who that person should be.
So who's ultimately choosing the consultants? Is it the developers and then you're sort of approving it, or is it the?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be together that we do this. So, I mean, if the consultants bring forward someone we think is not suitable to do it because they haven't got the right expertise, for example, then we will say we don't think that's appropriate, go away and look for somebody else. So we do have the ability to do that. At the end of the day, we've got to agree the master plan as part of it, as a process. So then we need to be satisfied that that master plan is fit for purpose, it's been developed by somebody who's capable of, or an agency that's capable of doing it and doing it properly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, M is carried forward. Mr. Pearce. N is a written response to Ms. May. O is Mr. Garvey, first one up for Mr. Garvey tonight, and that is to Councillor Foote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garvey, for your question. The answer to your question is that the Football Association Step 6 inspection is going to be held next Thursday. We have every confidence that the ground will pass that inspection. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, Councillor Foote, thank you. Can you explain briefly what you have put in place to meet the Step 6 application, Step 6 ground grading requirements? And if the ground grading is not successful, will you resign? Thank you.
Well, in answer to your question, it's quite a lengthy. They're quite lengthy items to tick off, as you probably are well aware. But I can tell you that last night at Western Area Planning Committee, a planning application for the floodlights to go in for the ground was unanimously approved, and that will form part of the Step 6 requirements. In addition, we are going to be introducing another stand area that will ensure that the seating capacity and the spectator capacity will also pass Step 6. The other items are really to do with pitch measurements, measurements of technical areas, etc., which, you know, I am very confident we will be able to meet. Thank you.
Next one up is Mr. Goatley, P. Mr. Goatley, in effect, I'm sure it's the executive that decides if that manifesto pledge has been delivered, acted upon. A political party, any political party, will put down in what is called a manifesto their objectives, their ambitions. They should have done that, and we did, in consultation with residents. And so you saw our document, it was published. I think we've achieved about 88% of it, or we're in the process of delivering about 88% of it. But there are often times when you look at something and say, is that something we can afford? Because finances have gone in a different direction to what councils would have wanted them to do in recent years. Is what you're trying to do still relevant? I mean, is sensible, sense check of it? Has there legislation come along that has actually knocked you out of whack? So your question's, puzzling, but at the end of the day, I think we will determine amongst ourselves whether we acted on it or not. The voters will. So, that's the best answer I can give you at the moment, but I'm sure there's a googly second, supplementary coming my way any moment. So how about it?
Oh, well, see how good you are at batting. I was referring to the Building for the Future document you put out, which there's some wonderful ideas. But probably to me, the best idea business-wise was item 3, introducing cheaper parking. Creating a fund to offer a package of targeted lower cost free parking in consultation with town and parish councils. I don't see that's happening. Is it?
Good point. It doesn't, I'm not sure your first question teed that one up. If I were you, I'd have put the question of how much of your manifesto have you delivered? I still have that as an aspiration. But, councils, and there are, I have to say this, about 35% of councils have had to go to government to get extraordinary financial support to allow them to borrow money in order to pay for day-to-day stuff. And with that comes more scrutiny from the Ministry of Housing, Local Government and Communities, MHCLG, about how we spend money. So to a degree, aspirations, I said it in my first answer, finances come calling. The reality of finances come calling. It is an aspiration. We will look to achieve it. That's the best I can say. And thank you for pointing it out.
Thank you.
From Paula Saunderson has been withdrawn. R from Mr. Morgan. I'll take this. Is it on the screen? Lovely. Access forms have been submitted for 24-25 and 25-26. 26-27 will be submitted this year. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, I do. A point of clarification, if I may. 26-27, that this year, this financial year? Is that what you mean?
The one we're just coming into, sir, on the 1st of April.
So, sorry, when will 26-27 be submitted? This financial year or next?
This year, the calendar year of 2026.
So calendar year, not financial year. That's what I'm trying to establish, really.
Supplementary. Just want to be clear.
Sorry?
Morgan, is that your supplementary?
No, it's not. Point of clarification. Is to 2027 this financial year or next financial year? That's
I've got it. I'm going to ask Mrs. Coleman-Slaughter to respond.
We need to submit the return by the 27th of March, so it will be going in shortly.
Thank you very much. So my supplementary, thank you for that, Shannon. I appreciate that. My supplementary is, I guess you can guess what it is. Can you please provide me copies? I've received a copy in front of me of the 23.
I don't know. I'm looking. Hang on. I'm looking at the monitoring officer. I'm looking at the section 151 officer. I can't. You know, what can you tell me?
We can supply a copy of that form.
Okay.
I believe it's downloadable.
The S will be a written answer. T, Mr. Garvey to Councillor Foot. Mr. Garvey, I'd ask you to refrain from asking people if they're going to resign. I think, you know, you can ask, but, you know, I think it just starts to go a little bit beyond.
I won't ask him again.
Courtesy, you know. Councillor Foot.
Yes, thank you very much for your question, Mr. Garvey. We would like, obviously, you to bear in mind that the, if you just bear with me 2 secs while I get this up, the 1.3 million funding in the capital programme is to enable the council to undertake feasibility studies on projects to deliver the playing pitch strategy. This will allow individual business cases to be developed for consideration by the executive to allocate funding or through future years' budget setting process. The only current project that has been identified with a supporting business case is Faraday Road, which has been built into the 2025-26 budget and is still funded. I would like to point out that the playing pitch strategy will also propose working with partners, developers, town and parish councils and the wider community to deliver enhanced facilities in the district, and not all enhancements will be directly funded by the council. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yeah, so kind of two-part, if that's okay. The clarification was the 1.3 million you said was just on feasibility studies, and the supplementary would be, so are you saying that the 1.25 million pounds for Faraday Road has been allocated? Thank you.
Yes, it has.
Okay. I'm really nearly at the end of the 30 minutes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take U and V, and then I will stop. U is to Councillor Foot again from Mr. Goatley.
All right. Thank you very much. What am I on? Yes, thank you very much for your question, John. you may remember, I don't recall seeing you at that particular meeting of the Community Services Committee of Newbury Town Council, but in actual fact, I didn't propose the motion, I seconded it. And the resolution, I'll read that out to you, stated that Newbury Town Council resolved to prohibit the use of artificial grass, in brackets turf, on areas of land owned or managed by Newbury Town Council unless specific permission has been granted by this committee, that's to say the Community Services Committee, on identified approved Town Council project, and that Newbury Town Council approach West Berkshire Council to request that they follow a similar approach to prohibit the use of this artificial grass turf. And I should clarify that what we were talking about were the sort of artificial grass that people put on paved areas, impermeable surfaces that mimic the appearance of grass. Do you have a supplementary question?
Afraid so. So by seconding the motion, you're obviously against the plastic grass. Isn't it a bit of a 180-degree turn for your views, or are you fully committed to this all-weather pitch?
No, it isn't, because that motion actually states that those cases will be assessed on merit. And if you're talking about artificial grass pitches for sport, they're entirely different to the type of artificial turf that people put over patios, etc., hard surfaces that we were talking about in that resolution. As you are probably aware, artificial grass pitches are carefully designed. They have shock pads. They have a design that allows people that play on those surfaces not to be injured. They're permeable. There are drainage systems in place. So they're an entirely different beast.
Thank you, Mr. Goatley. And finally, Mr. Garvey, question B, but it will be the portfolio holder for Environment and Highways, Councillor Gawley will answer you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garvey, for your question. Excuse me. West Berkshire Council takes littering very seriously, and we're proud that our district performs strongly in this area. Our most recent local environmental quality survey, which was done in January 26, found that 95.5% of surveyed locations met or exceeded acceptable standards for litter, and also fly tipping has remained low. These results compare favourably with national averages and reflect the effectiveness of our approach. We maintain a comprehensive street cleansing service across more than 2,100 kilometres of public highways, footways and cycle routes, supported by active partnerships with community groups. We provide equipment for local litter pickers and collect any bagged waste afterwards, which helps strengthen civic pride and complements our operational work. And there's been no change to these services or routes. I would also point out that we are coming out of the winter period, so yes, verges may look slightly unkempt at this time of year, and I would also point out that we have adjusted our verge cutting regime in recent years to promote biodiversity and boast some of the best wildflower verges in the country. With regards to our parks and open spaces, we're in possession of 2 Green Flag Awards that we didn't have 30 years ago, and the biodiversity in our country parks is flourishing under the stewardship of the Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire Wildlife Trust. We're also working closely with parish and town councils to devolve litter and dog waste provision to provide an even better service for our residents. This is also a great opportunity to highlight that the Keep Britain Tidy Great Spring Clean started on the 17th of March and runs through to the 2nd of April. And I want to say a thank you to all the volunteer groups that I've already seen pictures of out and about, whether that's volunteer groups or schools, and those who are planning sessions all across West Berkshire. And if you're around, I'm more than happy to join you in a session in our local area of West Berkshire, Mr. Garvey. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do, but just before that, if you want to bring a bucket and some hard brushes, I'm happy to scrub the pavements at Crownmead with you any given day of the week. You just let me know when you're available. I appreciate you trying to answer this question. I've tried to ask it a couple of times before and it was rejected multiple times. That's why I kind of tried to ask it directly to the leader of the council, because my question hasn't been answered here tonight. Have any of you seen the district looking this bad within the last 30 years? you know, the filth on the pavements,
Okay,
the
okay.
uncollected bins, the pound.
Mr. Garvey, Councillor Gawley has answered you. And frankly, I don't see what you appear to be seeing. If you wish to come in, and Councillor Gawley and I will go to where you want to point this out to us, if you want us to do that. Councillor Gawley, anything else to add? Because I don't accept the premise.
No, and I think it's good. It's important to highlight that, you know, service requests, so report a problem requests, don't reflect an increase in littering or fly tipping across West Berkshire. And what I would say is that I think everyone's got a part to play when it comes to things like this. You know, actually, people shouldn't be littering in the first place. I think that's probably point one to highlight. And I kind of find it a bit unfair that the burden of those lazy few that do litter falls to the rest of the taxpayers of West Berkshire to have to solve. But also where you do see it, or if you do see overflowing bins, please do report them on a report a problem page, because that means they will get collected and the issues will get resolved. So in short, no, I don't recognise that and the data doesn't reflect it either.
Thank you. And now I've gone on 7 or 8 minutes longer than the 30 minutes to give us richer sort of number of questions we can have. The rest will have to be written answers. So thanks for that, and thanks for everybody who took part in that. Item 6 is petitions. None received.
None received.
Thank you. Item 7 is the motion to council. And the decision we've made on a motion that was brought to council, I think, by Councillor McKinnon. And Councillor Poole will answer and talk to the report, which Councillor McKinnon will have seen. Over to you, Councillor Poole.
Thank you, Leader. Do we need a seconder for the paper?
Yes, I should start. Sadie was coming around to tell me that. Are you proposing?
Yes,
You are
Leader, I propose.
proposing.
I propose
Thank
the
you.
paper.
I'm happy to second. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. So Councillor McKinnon, thank you very much for your comments and motion to council. I'm pleased to confirm that we already performed the actions, or largely the actions outlined in your motion. However, we've reviewed your query with the spirit of being more easily understood. So what we've done is we've made some improvements to the way the information is presented online, making the information more easily digested, drawn percentages per response, further supported by the ability to drill down into the data. There's also a what we did section on the consultation page, which explains the rationale behind the decision taken at the time. And we also have the Service Director, Mr. Sargent, here to answer any of your questions that you have directly. As per the report, the recommendations are that the executive is informed, that the local authorities, executive arrangements, meetings and access information are provided to record relevant decisions, the reasons for decisions and any considered on any options considered but rejected in the executive resolves to strengthen how the outcome of consultations are reported through council's consultation database. Thank you, Leader.
So that's the position. Councillor McKinnon.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Poole, for that response. Just a couple of questions on that, and I think there's some encouraging movement towards what we were looking for here, but I don't think the information that I've asked for is actually published, and I'll explain why. I think it's paragraph 5.6 of the report. It says, and again, it's good that there's a recognition here. However, it's not possible to see at a glance, looking at the list of consultations, what the broad outcome was in relation to the public's feedback. So the motion that I put forward asked the council or the executive or indeed an individual decision maker where a decision was made in contravention of consultation to put a statement, a paragraph or two, saying, here's why we've gone against you. Here's the rationale for it. So what I'm looking for is where can the public see where a decision has been made in contravention of consultation. Now, looking at 5.6, there's a few categories that I think you're proposing to add to the consultation hub. Proceed unmodified, etc. My question is, which of those categories with a decision that's been made in contravention of the consultation B.
Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. And I'm going to respond myself. I'm going to ask Mr. Sargent to supplement with any additional information. So when you actually look at 5.6, there are some categories there. For the people who are joining us online, I'm going to read those out now. So it's proceed modified, where the proposal has been amended following the consultation feedback. Proceeded unmodified, implemented as originally proposed, did not proceed. So we changed our mind, decision pending, and then no decision required. So in response to your comment, Councillor McKinnon, if there is any modification to the consultation or is gone against the large majority of the response, it would be documented in there as appropriate. So if the consultation was to use an example, a charge for green bins, and the consultation was that they didn't want charges, and the decision went forward that we were going to charge, that would be documented with the appropriate comment.
Thanks for that, Councillor Poole. Again, just a question to clarify, which category would that have been in? Does a decision being made in contrast to a consultation, does that have its own category here? Or could it go into several of them and the resident will have to go into them to find out what's happened?
There is a breakdown for what that clarifies as. I'm going to ask Mr. Sargent to respond, please.
Let's bring Martin Sargent in, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just a bit cautious about the language around it being in contravention, because I think that has the potential to be misleading. The consultation is there to inform the eventual decision and the actions taken as a result of that. What you've pointed to in the report in paragraph 5.6, I think a decision where members of the public have suggested alternatives or suggested modifications, that's where that would be captured, that we're proceeding, but that it's proceeding in modified fashion. And that's what we've tried to summarise in the new page that we've put on the website. So you've now got a high-level summary so that you can see at a glance over the last 3 years how the council has proceeded with the decisions it's taken in the light of the consultation responses it's received, and then you can drill down into that and see each individual decision, and how it relates to the consultation. And then on the individual consultation pages, you've got a much more detailed explanation of what was originally proposed, what people said, and then what the outcome was in the light of that.
Thanks for that, Mr. Sargent. So I think then the answer is no. There is no individual category here for decisions that have been made. Happy to change the wording of contravention. Decisions made not in accordance with the public wishes, or that would be fine. But they do have to drill down into this. It's not that little bar graph in 5.8. That's not going to show the public how many of these consultations actually have been. I'm not using the word ignored because that's not fair, but you've listened to the public, and for whatever reasons, and there might be some good reasons for going the other way, but they can't see it from there.
Well, as a seconder, I'll come in now, because where you drill down into it, it talks about what we decided to do. And we were talking earlier, the executive, before this meeting, saying we will amplify there why we are going ahead. And we say there that the public response suggested that wasn't something they supported, but we are proceeding. So we'll do it in the narrative. I think we spoke about that earlier, Councillor Poole. I don't think we're going to have a register or a log that says, hey, this is the number, we didn't take any notice of it, which I think is where you might be coming from. What we're saying to you is, I think, is as far as we're prepared to go, and we think it's a useful step forward, but that's where we are.
Thanks for that, Leader. I think you've summarised my views pretty well. I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'll finish up with one question. Why not simply have a statement on the consultation hub saying, for your information, thank you so much for responding, all 5,000 of you, but we've gone a different way. Just level with the public. Why can't that be done?
Well, I hear you, and I'm moving on. Any other comments you'd like to?
No further comments I'd like to make at this time, Chair.
Okay. Any other people wish to speak? Then, executive members, we're voting for this course of action. All those in favour? Thank you. Sorry, the next one up is the performance report. And again, Councillor Paul, and I notice Beatrice Texera has arrived. So if you'd introduce it, please.
Thank you, Leader. So I'm pleased to.
Good evening to you, Councillor Marsh. And I note this is not a walkout. Thank you. He's not flouncing. No, I don't think he flounces. I've not seen David Marsh flounce. That might be quite interesting. Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Leader. So members and everyone here present, I'm pleased to present the performance report for Q3. The report speaks largely for itself, but there's a couple of recommendations to note there, but I'd firstly just like to say that we are aligning our performance monitoring to the government's outcomes framework. And as we move into the next financial year, there will be some more small adjustments made to accommodate. Last time, measures or some of the green measures that were held in the appendices are now back into the main body of the report. Councillor McKinnon will no doubt be pleased to say that the KPI that he commented on last time is now back. It was green then and it's green now, so thank you, Councillor McKinnon. Some of the high priority measures that are largely improved across the board. There are 5 presently high priority reds, 2 are in progress, 2 are improving, and 1 has slightly declined by 0.3% down to 90.1% to target. Of those that are improving, we have HP2 and HP10 of those, which are number of 2-year-olds accessing DWP free childcare and percentage of potholes completed in the 28-day SLA respectively. The latter will no doubt be impacted by the festive period and wet weathers. An early indication on the numbers thus far this year are positive, and we did experience a similar dip in Q3 last year also. Some of the KPI performance indicators are, I'm sure, more reds than last quarter. However, they're all within tolerance and for seasonal trends based on previous years. The recommendations in the report are for members to note only. I'm happy to read them later if you wish, but I'll open the floor to comments.
So, comments from executive, you will get questions. I'll even be asking some myself, I think, of you. I'll look across the chamber at this stage. Councillor McKinnon.
Yeah, thank you very much. I do have a question on the potholes KPI later, so I'll leave that until members' questions. There's a few concerning reds here. I mean, Councillor Poole, of these reds, which ones do you think are most concerning as the portfolio holder? Which would you most like to see improve and quick?
Well, are you referring, Councillor McKinnon, to the HPs, the BAUs or the COPs, just so I know which area you wish me to look at in particular?
I would think it would be applying to the high priority measures. I would have thought that would be your highest priority, but we've got a few reds. Looking at 2-year-olds accessing free nursery entitlement, the percentage of eligible ones, that's a bit concerning. We've got the percentage of youngsters in education and training. We've got Graiseley, etc. As the portfolio holder for this performance report, which ones are you most concerned about and most keen to see an improvement, sharpish?
Well, I would like to see greens across the board, as any portfolio would like to. I naturally, as a mum myself, lean very much towards the children's. Now, I'm very, very pleased with the work that has been done within the children's area. And you commented on the two performance matrices there, which is HP2, number of eligible children in 2-year-old and over accessing free childcare places, and the 16 to 18-year-olds participating in education or training. Now, of the 2-year-olds accessing free childcare, most parents who have 2-year-olds that are not accessing free childcare are typically stay-at-home parents, so there's not a greater need, and that's typically what we're finding. This has come through some of the children's departments, and I'm going to defer to Heather Codling, sorry, you on this side, for any supplementary bits of information that you may wish to add to there. And the 16 to 7-year-olds, we have seen a similar dip in previous years, I understand, from that metrics, and it has dropped ever so slightly, but we are anticipating to get that back up within the coming weeks. I would defer to Heather Codling for any supplementary information for that unique to her area.
It would be good if Councillor Codling came in.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good question. We are working through our family hubs to actually actively encourage parents of 2-year-olds to take up their free places. And we're also working with providers to add additional places. And that's also, you know, we're very close to capacity at the moment, but we are actually working with those providers to add more places. And there is a fund from government that we have accessed, a grant to help some of them expand. I know that 2 in my own area, Cold Ash and Cheveley have expanded theirs. And the thing is, this won't change very much until probably September when the new intake start. So I don't anticipate this to change that much at this stage. Quite often they don't start until the new school year. So if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One more, thanks. Councillor Codling, can you confirm, might be 1.5, do all parents qualify for 2-year-old nursery places, even if they're stay at home?
I don't know. I would have to check that.
I think it's just those who are in additional need.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're working parents, you get free, you're 30 hours free from 9 months. But I'm not sure about stay-at-home
I think
parents.
stay-at-home parents wouldn't be a valid explanation for that one. I'm actually quite concerned about the children's services function, but that's questions for probably a bit later on. One final question, and it's probably not to you, Councillor Poole. What's going on with Graiseley? Who's the portfolio holder? Can we have an update? Because that has been red, flashing red for a long time.
And I think it might stay flashing red for a while. I will bring you in, Councillor Gawley.
I was just going to say very similar, to be fair. I think, it is an important investment. It's something we remain committed to, but it's really important that we make sure that business case is absolutely robust and sound. There are significant pressures in terms of interest rates that have gone up since the initial business case, and also the costs of the long-term energy price forecast have also dropped. So there are a number of pressures on that original business case. And it's good practice before you make a decision on a project to review that business case to make sure it's still viable. And I think we want to make sure we do that for our residents to assure them that we're doing absolutely the right thing to make a really strong case for it. So I think that's probably where we are with that one.
And as the SIPFA report drew attention to, it's pretty volatile at the moment. If you look at the world and the Middle East, I don't know, energy prices could go stratospheric. But notwithstanding the macro picture, it's a tough call. It's a lot of money and it's a tough call. It's an aspiration we picked up from your last administration, and we want to do it. But you've got to make sure that it stands up to scrutiny, the scrutiny you'll no doubt give it if we press on. Next one. Okay. Howard, Councillor Wallace.
I was going to raise the same question, but I know you don't believe everything you read in the press, but according to Newbury Weekly News this morning, you scrapped it. Can you deny that?
Yeah, we do deny it.
Absolutely. It would be nice to be asked for a quote, to be fair, actually, yeah.
I must say that the number of times we're being asked by the press for quotes is almost gone away. We're not, we're available to talk to the press. So it's something I'm addressing to say we're open for business, we're open for quotes, we're open for clarification. Ring us up.
I think I would also highlight, sorry, Chair, that it remains in the budget from last year as well. So it's 100% not been canned. I want to make that categorically clear. And I spoke to another reporter earlier who asked me exactly the same question, and I gave the same comment. No, it has not been canned. We're doing our due diligence and we're checking that business case.
But when you add that money, that estimate of it, to the Thiel station, your capital programme is £20 million slippage from 2 projects. Okay. I'd like some assurance on the playing pitch strategy, please. Councillor Foote.
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's obviously on our forward work programme, and we're hoping that to be able to bring that to executive in May. I would point out that with playing pitch strategy, we are dependent on volunteers who run clubs, the non-governing bodies, to provide feedback to us. And that's often a reason why, times can slip. But we're looking to bring it to exec in May.
I'm drawing this one towards a conclusion, but I'm going to say what we said before the meeting. And the executive, Councillor Codling, beg your pardon.
That's right. Can I just come back on Councillor McKinnon's question about if stay-at-home mums are able to get, or parents, I should say, are able to access free childcare. I have the answer. If you get universal credit and your household income is 15,400 a year or less after tax, you get income support, income-based job seekers allowance, or employment and support allowance, get the guaranteed element of pension credit, your child has an EHCP, your child gets DLA, disability living allowance, or your child has left care under an adoption order, special guardianship order, or a child arrangement order.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
Okay.
Now, before we came down here tonight, I did stress to the portfolio holders to stress to their EDs and service directors this performance report, the reds and the ambers. Councillor McKinnon has not drawn attention. I'm not throwing him a free hit here, but he's not drawn attention to some performance indicators that are trending red, 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 red. And I want this addressed. And I want to see progress. And I'm giving this message to service directors and the chief executive so that the next, and Beatrice Texera, I know you're the scorer, but we're going to bring down these reds. Okay? I think we're noting this. I'll read out what we're noting. To note the progress made in delivering the Council Strategy Delivery Plan 23 to 27, priorities scheduled for this financial year. To review those areas where performance is below target, reporting as red or amber, and note that the appropriate remedial action is in place. You can see that we added to the report what is being done to turn around the situation where it needs to be. To note an error in the previously reported target date for the high priority measure HB18, which should say undertake a strategic asset review with associated disposal plan, which should read 31st of March 26, not 31st of January 26. Now, although I want to see reds come down, and who wouldn't, we also are able to benchmark against national positions, and that's in the COPEs particularly, and we stand up quite well in those, but nevertheless, we've got to improve. That's what we're about, improving services. So, noted members, and I can move on. Thank you. I'm moving on with a bit of a clarification before I go to the item 9, and that's coming from our Executive Director, Claire Lawrence.
Thank you, Leader. Just a clarification on the question that was asked about the North East Thatcham master plan. I've just clarified with the officers and to the actual commissioning of the consultants will actually be done by the council. It is paid for by the developer, and it is a collaborative approach with the developer and the council. But I was mistaken. I thought that it was actually going to be a direct commission from the developer with us having control over that. But actually it's not. It's going to be us.
Well, I'm grateful for the clarification, and I'd like the officers to make sure that Mr. Holden Crowther gets that explanation and added information because he has left the chamber. Let's make sure that happens, please. The next one, item 9, page 83, is oral health needs assessment recommendation. I understand that Councillor Clark will propose this and Councillor Foote will second. Good night to you, gentlemen. So I'm with you, Mr. Councillor Clark, to introduce, please.
Thank you, Leader. Our scrutiny committee has recommended a clear review of oral health in West Berkshire to identify and help address areas such as inequalities and service access problems. These are useful things for us to know. More information is good. We are keen to get this done as quickly as possible without a disproportionate cost of time or money. So we are suggesting here a rapid assessment utilising existing resources. Identifying oral health concerns will help us with future decisions on oral health provision while minimising staffing and financial impact. We will keep this under review throughout the process. If at the end we decide we need to conduct a full study, we can do so then. In order to reach this stage of oral enlightenment, I recommend we accept this proposal.
Councillor Foot, did you want to speak now or reserve your right?
I'll reserve my right.
Thank you. Any other input from the executive? Straightforward, I think, from our side, we are going to implement this. Councillor McKinnon.
No, it's a good report, and I think we support Councillor Clark's journey towards enlightenment.
Very good. I think we're okay to. Councillor Foot, you now want to. Councillor Foot has specific experience.
Yeah, I can never escape from my former life. But no, I just wanted to point out that these reports always have to be viewed against the backdrop of what's happening nationally with the provision of dental services. And it is problematic, let's put it like that, that there is a great difficulty in accessing affordable, widespread dental health treatment on the National Health Service. So I can speak as chair of Health and Wellbeing Board that it is an aspect that comes up quite regularly on our work programmes. I am in a position to sort of monitor this from afar, as it were, and we will do all we can to deliver, a good oral health programme for West Berkshire. Thank you.
I think we're ready to vote on this. All those in favour? Thank you. And then the next item, item 10, has been withdrawn. But Councillor Codling, you may wish to just say a word or two on that, please.
Yes, I asked for this to be withdrawn and to be moved to a future meeting. The reasons being that there's a number of new reforms coming from government, which affects the recommendations from health scrutiny. For example, the use of mobile phones in schools, and also the critical infrastructure around health at the moment with the reorganisation of integrated care boards locally, and to ask our health partners to step up and do something when they are in disarray, I think is actually not right. So we will be working with them and with health scrutiny to discuss this further, and it will come back to another meeting soon. And also our mental health for children and adults is a key priority for our Health and Wellbeing Board, and we want to work with them as well.
Councillor McKinnon.
Thanks. Yeah, you just said it there, Councillor Codling. It's a key priority. And I take your point to an extent about national reforms shifting the goalposts. Problem is, a lot of these national reforms might take quite some time to come down the track. When is this going to come back? Because I don't think we can wait too long.
Yeah, it's a fair question.
I agree, it can't wait too long. Part of the problem here is the withdrawal of funds by the ICB, and we've got to work out how we're going to fund some of those things. But I will aim to get this back as soon as possible. I will be working with the chair of the health scrutiny, Martha, to get this hopefully to the next meeting.
Thank you. So that was withdrawn. We're now on to item 11, page 93, which you'll be proposing, I think, Councillor Codling.
Yes, I proposed.
The seconder. Councillor Pemberton, possibly the seconder of the development of resource space at Victoria Park Nursery School.
Sorry, Leader, I missed that.
Are you okay to second this item on the resource space at Victoria Park?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much. And you reserve your right.
I do.
Thank you very much. So will you introduce the report, please, Councillor Cobb?
Yes, I would love to introduce this. As you know, like many other areas of the country, West Berkshire is seeing rising demand for specialist SEND support for young children, and existing special schools are near capacity locally, in spite of us adding as many places as we can afford. Establishing an early years resource base at Victoria Park Nursery would provide local early intervention and reduce reliance on costly independent placements. Victoria Park Nursery is outstanding as per Ofsted as of 2022 and already supports children with a range of SEND needs. And with the Family Hub relocating to the Phoenix Centre, this has freed up secure underused space and the site is well suited for a specialist resource. Approving this proposal would increase local specialist capacity, improve early identification and outcomes, support more children to progress into mainstream settings, and reduce pressure on special schools and the high needs block. I think this is a really cost-effective way to meet our growing demand and align strongly with national reforms around inclusion, our own local SEND priorities. I heartily recommend this proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, no other executive members want to speak at this stage. Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Codling. I think this proposal has been around and being considered for quite some time. How have we ended up in the situation where we've had to bring it back as an urgent item?
The reason it came back was it had to go out to public consultation. And when it was sent out to public consultation, this misaligned with the dates of these meetings. And because we only had, I think it was 60 days or something in which to bring it forward and get it approved. Otherwise, we'd have had to have gone out to consultation again. That's my understanding.
So it's not a case that we've ended up just losing track of the decision because there's been an awful lot going on in children's.
No. There is a lot going on in children's, but it's not that reason.
Okay.
Members, Councillor Pemberton, anything to add? I mean, these are vital resources and we need to get on with them.
Absolutely, Leader. I share Councillor McKinnon's concerns about the urgency with which these kind of specialist places need to be provided. This increased specialist support, I think it's a very effective way of supporting children that will use the service at this crucial stage of their development. So I'm not saying anything controversial here. When children receive that right help and support early, they build stronger communication and better learning skills, and that then helps their ongoing education journey. So, SEND provision, Councillor Gwynn, it's not just about resources. It's a big part of it, but it's also about giving children a very good start and the best possible start in life, notwithstanding those challenges that they face throughout their education journey. So happy to second, Leader. Thanks.
That's prompted you to...
Is Councillor Pemberton responding to something that I didn't say? He seemed to be explaining things to me that weren't part of anything that I said earlier on about it being all due to resources.
Was he talking directly to you or making a general point? Don't get paranoid now. Don't get paranoid. Just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me. So let's move on. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And we come to questions now. Questions. This members' questions. Questions C, D, and E have been withdrawn, and Councillor Jeffrey could not attend, so he will receive a written response. First up is Councillor Wollaston, and his question to Councillor Foote.
Thank you. Thank you. My apologies, Councillor Wollaston, that we did not provide these items to you when you requested them initially. The background documents 1 to 3 did not form part of the approved playing pitch strategy consultation, and we needed to check the status of these before sharing them. I believe that officers have now shared these documents with you, and these will also be published with the final strategy as background documents. Do you have a supplementary question?
I'm sure it's probably a typo, as they would say. It was actually 4 to 6 rather than 1 to 3 that were missing. 1 to 3 were published.
Yes, you are correct. I remember that from memory.
And what surprises me is I'm not just a member, I'm actually just the shadow portfolio holder. And when I asked the officers, they were very coy about it, and implied that they were told they couldn't release them. And having read them now, I cannot see for the life of me why.
Well, I can assure you that As far as I'm aware, nobody on the member side requested that they shouldn't be released. It was an error. I accept responsibility as portfolio holder. So, it is what it is.
Perhaps we should make sure it doesn't happen again.
Precisely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we have F.
So,
Councillor-
Leader, beg your pardon, you mentioned there that my questions C, D and E were withdrawn. I didn't withdraw those questions. Can we just have some clarity as to why we're not getting answers to those, please?
A guidance paper here that says they were. I do beg your pardon. I'm looking for support here.
Councillor McKinnon, thank you for your question. Through you, Chair. My understanding those questions have been removed from the member's question because the item was removed and withdrawn. They can carry forward to any questions when that item returns.
Yeah, okay, so if you don't mind, Leader, let's clarify that I did not withdraw those questions. Although I would maybe ask if question E could still be answered. It's more of a general question than a specific one towards the item.
Yeah. I mean, look, it says here they've been withdrawn. So are you okay if I say one question? You all right with that? Go for it.
Yeah, so can I ask question E in my name, please?
If you want more time, it's up to you, Councillor Colling, but...
No, absolutely. I assure you that we take the care of our children seriously. We have outstanding schools and good schools. 95% of our schools are good and outstanding. Our children's services is good. Our youth justice is outstanding. Castlegate is outstanding. I think we take this very seriously.
No supplementary, and thank you, Leader.
Okay. Then you're on to your question F, which is to Councillor Foote.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor McKinnon. We do know what we want to do with the Faraday Road football ground, and it will remain as a football ground for as long as we can possibly keep it that way. We're proposing the insertion of a 3G artificial grass pitch, which implies that we intend to keep that as a football playing facility for a while. And the second part of your question, an artificial grass pitch will, of course, increase the playing opportunities, particularly for young people. And to give you some idea, the Sport England data suggests that for well-maintained grass pitches, you can play up to 6 hours a week. And for artificial grass pitches, that moves up to 80 hours per week. And as you know, last night we approved the planning application for floodlights, which is going to extend the playing ability of that pitch for a long period of time. And I quoted a letter from a resident in my ward underlining the Newbury and District girls under 11s side, and they would be perfect to play there, and that would certainly help their mental health. So I'm quite comfortable with the amount we're spending on that ground. Do you have a supplementary question?
I do, and I'm going to be very specific and apply my supplementary to the answer you gave, which is what we're all supposed to do, of course. You mentioned the planning application last night. Why was the planning for the pitch itself withdrawn from that application, and we're putting some floodlights up with no pitch?
Well, of course, we are putting floodlights up with a pitch. There is a grass pitch there in existence. The artificial grass pitch was removed because we share the concerns that have been raised about drainage of the artificial grass pitch, the proximity to the SSSI River Kennet, and we're actually exploring enhanced drainage, filtration mechanisms to satisfy natural England, and that work is being done as we speak.
The final question, G to Councillor Gawley.
Yes, thank you, Councillor McKinnon, for the question. The council's contract to Volker Highways was let down by a particular supplier in Q1 of this financial year, which significantly affected this KPI, which is a cumulative KPI. An action plan was put in place, such as bringing in extra crews to address this issue, which has been effective, with 99.6% of all potholes completed on time in Q2 and 100% completed on time in Q3. Officers have continued to monitor this important metric through weekly meetings. Do you have a supplementary?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Councillor Gurley. That's a really useful answer. So it seems then that reliance on one contractor or subcontractor has resulted in quite a big miss. And I see your point about the KPI being cumulative, but it is a big miss there. Do you think that gives you suggestion that there might be a need to strengthen how the council manages and monitors subcontractors and contractors to make sure that we can consistently deliver on residents' expectations?
Funny you should say that. We're currently procuring our highways term contract at the moment, which members cross-party have been involved in. And I think that's certainly one of the areas I'm particularly keen to see is that supply chain resilience. And we've got an excellent set of responses, and I look forward to seeing them through the procurement. And that is definitely something we'll be focusing on in that procurement exercise. I think it's also important to highlight at this point as well that we are one of a handful of councils in the country to receive a triple green rating in the recent Department for Transport gradings on road maintenance and condition as well.
Thank you very much. I think we're sort of done. Well, yes, we are, aren't we? Yes, okay. Thank you ever so much, everybody. I declare the meeting closed.